Wie bewerten Sie die deutsche Debatte rund um den ukrainischen Raketeneinschlag in Polen?
How do you assess the German debate about the Ukrainian missile strike in Poland?
I think the German people need to wake up to the fact that their politicians are leading them down a path of a nuclear holocaust. A nuclear holocaust. Did Germany learn nothing from its past? You've tried to fight Russia a couple times and it hasn't gone well for you. And it won't go well for you again. There's a number of reasons why. But let's just focus on why your politicians are so eager to get involved in a conflict in Ukraine with Russia. Two things. One, your military can't win. Just really do some research, Germany. Look it up. Ask yourself, how many brigades can Germany mobilize today and send to Ukraine tomorrow? The answer is zero. Zero. How many aircraft can you send into Ukraine to fight the Russians? Not that many. And yet you're trying to go to war with Russia. Not only if this war was conventional, would you lose again, but if you think, oh, wait, NATO has our back, understand this. A NATO-Russian conflict in Europe ends one way and one way only, in the nuclear annihilation of all of Europe, including Germany. So for anybody who's sitting there applauding at the ridiculous statements made by your politicians, thinking that, yay, Germany's strong, Germany's firm, Germany's weak. And your weakness is proven by the positions taken by your politicians, which are stupid positions. Stupid. I'm not diplomatic right here. Stupid positions that can only lead to the death of not only every German, but every European, more than likely every human on the planet. Thanks, Germany. Thanks for putting my family at risk because of your stupid politicians.
Wird in den USA darüber diskutiert, was deutsche Politiker öffentlich dazu sagen?
Is there any discussion in the US about what German politicians are saying publicly about this issue?
We're aware of it. This morning I watched as Germany talked about the potential of extending Polish air defense or NATO air defense into Ukraine. The possibilities of no-fly zones were being discussed. This is just sheer insanity. I would just ask the German people to study your history. I lived in Germany back in the 1970s and 1980s. My father was stationed there. At that time, the Germans embraced what's called a forward defense policy. Why would Germany embrace a forward defense policy? Because the German military, when looking at NATO war plans, said, wait a minute, you're going to retreat and create, buy some time by giving up land and then use nuclear weapons to stop the Soviets coming in. Hey, newsflash, that soil's German soil. When you drop a nuclear bomb to stop the Soviets, that's creating a nuclear wasteland in Germany. We don't accept that. So the Germans said, forward defense, fight them at the border. We don't want nuclear weapons used. Later, when the INF treaty came in, or before the INF treaty, the INF deployments came in, Pershing II missiles, ground-launched cruise missiles were coming in. The Germans had the gumption to get up in the streets and say, no, we don't want these weapons on our soil because that turns our soil into a nuclear target. Germans back then were smart, it seemed. They understood what the consequences of nuclear war would be. That if a nuclear bomb goes off, they die, the soil becomes unusable, uninhabitable for thousands of years. Germany ceases to exist. Germans were smart back then. They also had courage. They had the courage to go in the streets and protest against these ridiculous policies. Where are the German people today? Or should I call them the German sheep? Where are they today? They're sitting there, bah, bah, in the land, what are my politicians saying, bah, bah. And they look at their politicians like, oh my goodness, it's the shepherd. They'll take care of us. Like NATO, it's the shepherd. We'll take care of the German flock. Do you not understand that the shepherd's final duty is to lead you to the slaughterhouse where your throats will be slit and your carcasses turned into food to be consumed by others? That's what your politicians are talking about now. They're going to sacrifice the German population on the altar of NATO. NATO, you want to die for NATO? Go ahead, die, but don't take me with you. I don't want to be part of your nuclear war.
Wie schätzen Sie die Versuche ein, Russland beim G20-Gipfel zu boykottieren?
How can you assess the attempts to boycott Russia at the G20 summit?
First of all, let's talk about the Russian boycott at G20. If you take G7 out of G20, The G7, of course, being the United States, the European Union, Germany, France, Italy, United Kingdom, Japan, Canada. Wow. All those wonderful advanced industrial countries. You take them out of the G20, what do you have? Russia, China, and oh, wait a minute, you got BRICS. You got BRICS. You got BRICS. So let's understand what the G20 is and what it isn't. The G20 is supposed to be, in the mindset of the G7, an expansion of the G7, that the G7 is imposing its will on the rest of the world through the vehicle of the G20. But the reality is the G20 is BRICS. And they're saying, not so fast, G7. We're not buying into your stuff. So right off the bat, it's a fantasy in the minds of anybody that thinks that the G20 is there to service the wants and desires of the G7. And the Russians know this. This is why Russia didn't run away in fear or in humiliation. Lavrov is a diplomat. He went there. He did what he needed. He doesn't need the group photo. He's not an adolescent. He doesn't need to have the school photo to feel important. Hey, team picture, take the picture. And then he gets to show that forever. Hey, I was part of that team. He doesn't care. He didn't want to humiliate the host nation, the Indonesians. He knew that they needed that group photo for political purposes, and they knew that they needed a joint statement at the end for political purposes, or else the summit would be deemed a failure. He didn't want it to fail, so he left a day early, like the good diplomat he is. And if you think that's a sign of Russian weakness, let's just look at a couple things. Germany, how's your economy doing? I don't know. Come on, you're a German audience. Be honest about it. How's your economy? Is it doing good? How's those energy costs? High, low, normal? Are you going to be energy rationing this winter? What happens when it gets really cold? Is there going to be rolling blackouts? Are some of your industries shutting down? How's your aluminum business going? Your steel business, your smelting business? All those wonderful high-paying German jobs. Are some of your German companies thinking about fleeing to the United States because it's more productive in the United States than it is in Germany because costs are lower in the United States? How's your economy doing, Germany? I would imagine not too good. I could ask the same questions of the French. That's the questions of the Italian. I could ask the same questions about virtually every G7 nation. Now I turn around, Russia, gosh, you're under sanctions, man. It sucks. They've really hit you hard. How's your economy doing? Pretty good. We got employment. We got energy. We got lots of energy. We got electricity. Things are doing all right. Hey, India, how's your economy? Great. Got lots of cheap Russian energy. China, how's your economy doing? Yeah, we're struggling with the pandemic, but okay. We got some good energy coming in from the Russians. We're building up our supply lines. This whole Belts and Roads initiative thing's working really good for us. Back to Germany. Hey, how are you guys doing? Not so good in comparison, right? So you really think Germany, you're going to go to G20 and what? Flex your muscle? What muscle? You're pathetic little anorexic soy boy. That's all you are. You're not real. You're not tough. You're nothing. You only exist because of the United States and because of cheap Russian gas. Think about it, Germany. Just reflect on the past 60 years. How did you get to be the economic powerhouse that you are? Hardworking German men and women. Okay, I'll give you that. But the hardworking German men and women went to work in industries that were fueled by cheap Russian gas. That kept your costs of doing business down so that you could pay your people well, so you could have a tax base that allowed you to have a social security net that was there, your free education, your free healthcare, all the wonderful things, great vacations. It's great to be a German worker. Not now. You took away the cheap Russian gas. How's it feel to be a German worker now? Unemployed? Not making enough money? That great German salary is not going as far as it used to because your energy costs are high. Pathetic. Germany's, once again, you think that being a member of a club gives you status. Well, take that G7 plaque and put it on the wall and then look at it for a while, then take it down from the wall, break it up and put it in your fireplace, because that's about all it's good for right now, is giving you whatever pathetic few numbers of British thermal units might be generated by putting it in the fireplace instead of having access to the cheap Russian gas that you once had. NATO, we already went through NATO. Germany's not a really good member of NATO. Your military is pathetic. Pathetic. I would fire you. If NATO was a business and I was the CEO, I'd fire you. I'd say, get out. You're no longer qualified to be a member because you don't. You stink. Your military can't do anything. You really don't bring anything to the table. Well, wait a minute, Scott. We're going to spend 100 billion euro over the next couple of years to build up our military. Too late. Wait, and here's my other question. Where are you going to get the 100 billion euros? from the booming German economy? Really? You can scrape that up when you got nothing? Germany needs to start reflecting on the reality of its situation. Could Germany be great again? Yes, it could. But it can't be great as long as it's tied to these two sinking ships, NATO and the G7.
Werfen wir einen Blick auf die USA. Was halten Sie von Kandidaten für US-Präsidenten wie Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis und Joe Biden?
Let's take a look at the US. What do you think of candidates for US President like Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, and Joe Biden?
American politics is a symptom of the larger disease called American politics. I really don't want to talk about any candidates now because no matter who the candidate is, they're not good for America. There's not a good mainstream candidate out there that's good for America. They might be good for corporate America. Remember, we have a Supreme Court case here called Citizens United that gave corporations the status of citizenship. Corporations are now citizens, just like me. And they have the same rights as me, apparently, because they could pour money into an election. Now, when I open up my wallet, I might be able to give $500 to somebody, maybe, but not much more, especially now that my economy is not doing too well. But corporate America writes checks, millions of dollars, millions of dollars, millions of dollars. They own every politician. There's not an independent politician out there who's mainstream. Anybody who tries to be gets knocked down, or you have to be a billionaire like Trump and fund your own campaign. The American body politic is sick. It's diseased. And whatever it produces in 2024 will be a reflection of that. It's not going to be the leader of a healthy country. It's going to be the leader of a sick, dying country. DeSantis, he's owned. Biden, we know he's owned. Trump, in order for Trump to get the popular vote he did, he had to go so anti-establishment that he's become virtually a cartoon character. There were certain aspects of Trump's foreign policy and domestic policy that were good because they challenged the system. They reflected a recognition of reality, not corporate sponsorship and special interests. But then Trump had to wrap it with this cartoon character that he became. And ultimately, you can't be a president of the United States if you don't have the utmost respect for the Constitution of the United States. And whatever role he played on January 6th, it wouldn't have happened without him. And it was a frontal assault on the Constitution of the United States. And for that, I believe he's forever disqualified as being president. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there angry at that. I don't care. It doesn't matter what I think, to be honest, because I'm somebody who believes that the people should make the determination of who represents them in higher office, not special interests, not money. Take money out of politics, you can cure the American body politic, and then we'll talk about candidates that mean something. Right now, every candidate is bought and paid for by special interests, and they don't reflect the needs and wants and desires, the will of the American people.